Hey Goofball. Okay, so we're gonna do Spider-Man first, the Sinister Six. Peter Parker had just dropped off some photos at the Daily Bugle when a special bulletin ran across the television in the newsroom. This just in, the news reporter blared. An evil group known as the Sinister Six has taken over the lower Manhattan. Spider-Man, if you are out there, we need your help. But Peter was already out the door. This looks like a job for your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, he said to himself as he changed into his famous red and blue Spidey costume. Spider-Man swung high above the streets of New York City at great speed. I have to stop the Sinister Six, he said to himself. I fought each member before, but never all at the same time. I'll have to be extra careful if I want to take each one of them down. And that's when it hit Spider-Man. To defeat the Sinister Six, he'd have to fight each member one at a time. Spider-Man was downtown in minutes and soon met with his first challenge. Just down the street were two large cats circling a man who wore a lion's pelt. Kraven the Hunter, Spider-Man said to himself. Last time we met, he didn't have his cats with him. This isn't going to be easy, he thought. Spider-Man swung down and tried to surprise Kraven from behind, but his leopards heard the wall crawler and leapt right at Spidey. Whoa, Spider-Man cried, barely dodging their sharp claws and snarling jaws. Spider-Man, haven't you learned you can't sneak up on a hunter? Kraven said as he commanded his beast to attack Spider-Man again. But this time the web slinger had a surprise for them. Spider-Man shot webbing that covered both cats with a giant net. Holding tight, Spidey swung the web cats around and tossed them directly at Kraven. Arrgh, Kraven cried as the weight of the leopards knocked him to the ground. What's the matter, Spidey said as he swung away. Cat got your tongue? Spider-Man didn't have to go far to meet the next member of the Sinister Six, Electro. Spidey cried. I'm shocked you remember me, Electro said as he fired several bolts of electricity directly at Spider-Man. But Spidey was fast and leapt out of the way just in time. Surprised at how fast Spider-Man was, Electro tried to fire another bolt of electricity, but Spider-Man quickly leapt toward the villain and landed a mighty blow to his jaw. Seems like you've lost your spark, Electro, Spider-Man joked as he swung off to find another member of the Sinister Six. Next, Sandman tried to trap the wall crawler in quicksand, but Spidey outsmarted him. He covered Sandman in cement and stopped him dead in his tracks. Suddenly, the Vulture swooped down from the sky and slammed into Spider-Man from behind. Do not mess with the Sinister Six, boy, the Vulture said, but Spider-Man had already flipped behind the Vulture, webbed his face, and started to ride the villain like a bull. And do not hit someone from behind, old man, Spidey replied. Spider-Man landed on a nearby roof and scanned the area for another member of the Sinister Six, when suddenly something hit Spider-Man hard. What was that? Spider-Man said, rubbing his head. Not what was that, replied the mysterious figure behind a cloud of smoke. Who was that? Mysterio, Spider-Man cried as the Master of Illusion stepped out from behind the smoke. I've waited a long time for this moment, Mysterio said as he hovered over the fallen hero. You always thought you were better than me. But now the world will see that Mysterio is better than Spider-Man. Arrgh! Before Mysterio could finish, Spider-Man clobbered Mysterio and sent him flying through the air. Did anyone ever tell you that you talk too much? Spidey said as he dusted himself off. Maybe your next magic trick will be to make your voice disappear. Spider-Man had fought and beaten every member of the Sinister Six except one, and he knew just where the last one was hiding. Spidey saw a mechanical arm slither into an abandoned warehouse across the street. Just as Spider-Man entered the building, his spider sense went off. He quickly turned to see a mechanical arm striking down in his direction, barely missing. Doc Ock, Spidey said as he rolled out of the way and leapt up onto the ceiling. You know an octopus has more legs than a spider, Doc Ock said as his robotic arms thrashed all around him, ready to strike, and I'm about to use mine to destroy you once and for all. Actually, spiders have 8 legs too, Doc, Spider-Man said as he fired several webs at Doc Ock's feet. Now it's time to get you back in the water. Spidey said as he yanked on his webs and knocked the mad scientist off his feet. No, Dr. Octopus cried as he fell into a large water tank that was nearby. Oh, yes, Spidey said, watching the doctor's arms short out and stop working. So, Spider-Man said to the captured Sinister Six, what have we learned here today? Sandman? Vulture? Craven? Anybody? Spider-Man placed his hands on his hips and shook his head. Being a villain gets you nowhere. Now say it with me, crime doesn't pay, but the villains just moaned in defeat. Sorry to run, but I have a date with a meatloaf, Spider-Man said as police cars started to show up at the scene. He leapt in the air and swung off toward Aunt May's house. Before he left, he looked back and laughed. You guys should stick around for a while. Alright, buddy. I love you. Can't wait to see you. Miss you so much. You're my best buddy. Like,